Hey guys, Comic Boom here with Mr. Miracle number 12. So what is it? Is it all a dream? Mr. Miracle committed suicide in issue 1, didn't he? The last 12 issues, the whole 12 issue series, it's one giant dream with Scott Free battling the forces of the anti-life while he's in a coma, right? Or did he die and he's imagining himself in heaven? What is it? I'm going to cut right to the chase. I think Tom King did a good job here. This type of writing is right in Tom King's wheelhouse because I choose to believe that this entire series, having taken place in his head or not taken place in his head, or is it in continuity or not in continuity, that misses the point. This is in Tom King's wheelhouse because it poses a lot of interesting philosophical questions, and I personally enjoy it a lot better by simply focusing on the philosophy and the themes in what this story is trying to say. And in that way, it's sort of it's thought-provoking, and ultimately for me, I find it uplifting. That's how I choose to look at it. But believe me, I completely respect other people. You can easily read this and get frustrated and say, how does this fit in continuity? What is Scott doing? How come there's all this mundane stuff juxtaposed against the violence, etc., etc.? Where is this all going? What's the point of it all? Well, I think asking the question, what's the point of it all, is kind of the point of it all. The greatest deception that the devil ever pulled was making people believe that he didn't exist. And Darkseid here, the greatest deception he pulled off was making people think that the anti-life actually exists. It doesn't. You see, it's all a matter of choice. You choose whether to be miserable. You choose whether you're going to feel shame or regret. Those are all choices. Everything in life is a choice. And so is evil. Everything is a choice. The anti-life doesn't exist. It's unreal. It's like fear. Fear is unreal. We create it. Nothing unreal exists. Fear does not exist. The only thing that there is love. It's that simple. And that's embodied in here. What is the theme of love is rampant throughout the 12 issues. Isn't it very interesting? Ask yourselves this. If Scott Free has been battling the anti-life through these 12 issues, in his head, or whether he's in a coma, or whether he's alive, it's irrelevant. If he is battling the anti-life, and the anti-life equation caused him to commit suicide, well, just remember that every single issue here has some aspects of love in it. Scott defeats the anti-life rather easily by simply living his life, his mundane life, as he normally would every single day. He loves his wife, loves Big Barda, he's there for the birth of his son, he expresses, he rejoices in the celebration of the lives of his friends who have passed before him, whether that's Forager or his High Father or Oberon. He loves his life, and he does other things like goes on dates, looks at the sunset, he enjoys reading the back of milk cartons, he sits on his ass and does nothing, he's lazy sometimes, he shaves his beard, he lets it grow long, he wears superhero shirts. He does all these mundane things, and a funny thing happens along the way. He's living his life while he does it, and he defeats the anti-life. How? Because that's how you defeat the anti-life. Look, life isn't fair. Life isn't fair. It just is. Life is. Just like Darkseid is. It's all about choices. You can either choose Darkseid, you can choose anti-life, you can choose to be miserable, you can choose to be hateful, you can choose to be evil, or you can choose life. Choose life or choose anti-life. Pick one. Scott Free clearly chooses life. Even in the midst of being infected with the anti-life throughout the entire 12 issues, if that's what you want to believe, Scott Free still chooses to be happy. He's even if it's in his own mind, that's how he escapes. Scott Free is aware of something so fundamental and so simple that sometimes people forget it. Happiness is only a thought away. That's how you escape misery. You think differently. And Scott Free understands that. And that essentially is the central message of the entire series. That's it. It's simple. So all this juxtaposition throughout the 12 issues, the juxtaposition of the mundane aspects of life versus the horrific violence of war and apocalypse in New Genesis. What's the point of that? It's simple. When you go to war, sometimes, look, you have control over whether or not you're miserable. You have control over whether or not you're going to be a jerk, whether you're going to be an a-hole, whether you're going to love your wife or beat your wife, whether you're going to love your children or abandon them. Those are all choices. All choices. But sometimes you got to go to war. Why? Because the only thing you can control is what you do. You can't control what other people do. So that means that you might end up in war. Because why? Because life isn't fair. Just because life isn't fair doesn't mean that it's not extraordinary. It just means that it's not fair. So when you trudge along through life as Scott Free has, you're going to have those moments that are extraordinary. Whether it's the birth of your child, whether it's making love to your wife, or just have something as mundane as having breakfast in the morning. But you're also going to have those moments where you're embittered because of others, where you have to go to war, where you have to do things you don't want to do. But it's how you react to it. That's the one thing you can control. And if you can control that, and if you can choose happiness, because remembering that it's always a thought away, it's just a thought away. If you can do that, then you'll defeat the anti-life. And that's what he does here. I got an angry daughter back there who's embracing the anti-life. She's choosing to do that, just to defy me. Now, I can either choose to be angry, which I won't, because she's only 3, or I can choose to, I suppose I could choose something to be more hard-ass, but I'm not going to do that. Why? Because this is one of those mundane aspects of life that I'm just going to embrace, because otherwise I end up embracing the anti-life, and I don't want to do that. I know that life isn't fair, but I know that it's extraordinary. And those two things, those two thoughts can be in my head at the same time, and life goes on, and it's all good. So guys, there's all kinds of moments in here that essentially embody that. Scott Free has conversations with a lot of people that have passed before him. He has conversations here with Oberon. He has conversations here with his High Father, with the Forager, even with Granny Goodness. All characters who have actually died in the course of this story. And they just simply, they try to throw the reader off. Some of the characters suggest that this is all a dream. Some of us suggest that it's not, that you've won, congratulations. But High Father says, you've actually lost, you've been defeated, but I love you anyway. That might frustrate a lot of readers, but it doesn't frustrate me so much because I know that this is simply a philosophical conundrum, that this is just posing questions that we all have in life. And the bottom line is that life isn't fair. Fear is not real. Everything, we have control over our own lives, and the best way to defeat misery, to defeat the anti-life, is to simply live. It's simple. And for evidence that the anti-life isn't real, remember that I think it was in past issues, when Scott and Big Barda acquired the afterlife, acquired the anti-life, they acquired it, but it was revealed to them that it didn't really have any power unless it was activated through the Darkseid's omega beams. That was the transport system to get the anti-life to actually function. And that in and of itself is proof that the anti-life doesn't exist, because it required Darkseid's eyes to implement it. In other words, it required a choice by Darkseid to make the anti-life real. And because Darkseid's eye was destroyed, the anti-life doesn't exist. So the anti-life doesn't exist. So if the anti-life doesn't exist, how come people are still miserable? Well, it's simple. Why is there still evil in the world if the anti-life is gone? Where's the fear if the anti-life is gone? Where's the shame and the regret? Why is it still around if the anti-life isn't around? It's simple, because it's a choice. The anti-life doesn't exist. Fear only exists because it's a choice. People choose to be miserable. They choose their pain. But here's the kicker. By choosing your pain and living through it and dealing with it, that's how you overcome it. You don't overcome anti-life by avoiding it. You simply acknowledge that you're having those thoughts, and you do little mundane things to overcome them, like love your wife, love your children, go out and play, go out for supper, go grocery shopping, read the back of a milk carton. Just live your life. In America, it's Thanksgiving coming up. We had it in Canada here last month. But you give thanks. Show gratitude. You'll overcome the anti-life. And all those things are a choice, just like the anti-life is. So if you have a choice between the anti-life versus performing a miracle, why not be like Mr. Miracle and choose love? That's the message for me. It's not complicated. That's what I choose to do. Guys, if you want to focus on continuity, it's going to give you a headache, because whether this has happened or not, I like the message of this story. Those are the types of stories that Tom King is better at, is just telling stories from his point of view, from his perspective. He he loses a lot in his storytelling when if you're going to try to expect him. He doesn't have a lot of respect for continuity. He doesn't, clearly that's shown in Batman, and that shows in a lot of his other writings. But what's in his wheelhouse is when he tells the type of stories that he wants to tell. He's not good at fitting things into continuity, and that's fine. I really like Mr. Miracle. I think this series worked. It worked for me. Guys, tell me what you think. And until next time, follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. Hit the subscribe button. And, well, a salute to the Mr. Miracle series. I might do a retrospective on all 12 issues at some future point, but for now, I'm just going to continue to let this series sink in. And, guys, until next time, Comic Boom, out.